exposing the truth, you know, which is what we're doing here. You have to constantly expose the truth to let people see it, because if people don't see it, if people don't know that it's wrong, they're not going to be compelled to do anything about it.
Yeah. Just like the Nazi death camps.
Just like every other injustice in history.
Yeah.
Every other injustice was hidden, it was covered. The language was used in such a way that the atrocity was minimized. The status of the humanity of the victim was minimized. You know, the efforts surrounding the continued subjugation of people was minimized. You never saw it, you never heard about it. When they did talk about it, it was made in the context of this is actually good for the victim. You know, it's okay to kill children because they may grow up poor. It's okay to kill children because they may grow up to be criminals themselves. Right? It's okay
or they may grow up to resemble the father who is a terrible person, you know.
So there's always this subjugation of this atrocity is actually good. Like with slavery, it was the same thing. The black person should remain in his slave state because it's his natural order. It's good for him. We provide a living for him. It's his natural state in life. He was inferior to the white man, and he would never be socially capable of being on the same level as a white man. So actually being in slavery was considered the normal thing for a black. Now we know that that's not true. We know that that's false, but that's how they coached it. They coached it then, and they coached it now. This is actually good for the child, because this way the child won't grow up poor. This is actually good for the child, because the child won't grow up to be a criminal. You have to be very careful when you use language surrounding debates, because they're always subjugating, they're always putting down, they're always minimizing the status, the dignity of the human being that's involved, and the techniques that are used to oppress. You will always find that in anywhere there's injustice, you'll find those two operating principles. What we're doing here, of course, is we're exposing the truth. It's the exact opposite of suppressing or keeping hidden. We're doing the exact opposite here. We're exposing it. Let a man come out into the light so that his works may be seen. That's what we're trying to do. We're exposing the injustice. It has to be done. Social reform does not occur without this kind of activity taking place. It's impossible. It has to happen. History shows this to be true.
Like with what was it? The child labor laws, where I heard a story like back in the early 1900s where a journalist went into the where the children were working and saw how horrible they could.
We need a bullhorn and a whistle over here, man.
Yeah. No bullhorns.
The mini bullhorn and whistle, I'm sorry, move along.
No bullhorns. She's
impeding traffic.
Let her yell.
But like during the early 1900s, I mean, you know what I'm talking about? Well, basically once people saw what the children were going through, they saw pictures of it. Well, what about the baby, sir? Yeah. But once they saw what the children were going through, they decided to stop it.
Yeah, it's you know, it's a classic scenario. You'll always see it. Once people see what's happening, many of them will be compelled to do something about it. When the pictures of Emmett Till, was a 15-year-old black boy who was killed in Mississippi because he hit on a white girl. When pictures of
thank you. Thank you.
Hey, thank you, ma'am. Yeah, the story of Emmett Till.
Yeah, well, when the pictures of his open casket were shown nationally, people were shocked because his face was very disfigured.
Oh yeah.
He was unrecognizable. It was very gross. But his mother insisted that the casket remain open and that pictures of his face be taken and published because his mother wanted the world to see what they had done to her little boy. And so there's really no difference here.
And today, I mean, how many people have seen the picture of him in his casket? Millions, right?
Right.
And I mean, that's been very effective.
Right.
And I don't know, like the effect it had upon ending segregation, but it did have a part, right? Upon ending segregation. I mean, ending the racism, or helping people to get a mindset like,
with the civil rights
wow,
movement.
you know, this is really going on. You know, look what happened to this little boy. It's happening.
Right. But that was common, and you'll see the other pictures of blacks who are protesting being hosed down by the water cannons by the police. There's several famous pictures of black protesters being beaten by the police, the dogs being sicked on them, the lunch counter protests with Martin Luther King.
Oh yeah.
You know, all those things that they did, you know, were in protest to the injustice. But the way that they were treated, by the police, when it was exposed, the people said this is wrong. You know, we don't treat people like this, and that was what paved the way for civil rights legislation to pass. And you know, it was an effective tactic. What Martin Luther King did back then is the same principle what we're doing here. It's the exact same thing. Martin Luther King knew that in order for injustice to be exposed and for suppression to be overridden, it had to be exposed in a way that raised attention in a culture. He had to raise the tension, and he did this with his sit-ins and his marches. We're doing it with images. When you raise attention, you force a culture to confront an issue. So until society understands that they have a role to play, that they have something at stake, they're not going to do anything about it. But when you make them confront the issue, then society will be at a level where they can start to deal with it on an honest level. We have not approached that level yet in our national debate over abortion. We're stuck on the phrase, a woman's right to choose. We're stuck on reproductive rights. We're stuck on a meaningless phrase, pro-choice. But those phrases don't mean anything. Those phrases don't mean anything. You say I'm pro-choice, well, what are you choosing?
Yeah.
You have to finish the statement. You have to answer the question.
A right to choose what?
What are you choosing?
What are you choosing?
What are you choosing? And I don't know how people would answer that. But there are many people who would say, I'm pro-choice, but I don't support that. So there's a level of education that has not been made yet, to where we need to let people know, when you say you're pro-choice, this is what you're saying.
You support this.
You're not talking about a philosophical concept. You're talking about an act of destruction of innocent human life.
That you support what the abortionist did to this little baby girl.
But most people won't. Most people who are pro-choice support a woman like that guy. He just passed by, he said, only a woman has a choice. Right? Only a woman has a choice.
Yeah.
But he didn't say babies deserve to have their heads ripped off, did he?
Without anesthesia or nothing.
Yeah, he didn't say that.
Yeah.
He didn't say that. Did he really look at that image? Does he really understand what he's saying?
I doubt it.
He's saying only a woman has a choice. What he's saying is only a woman can say that a child can have their head ripped off.
It's hard to believe that any humane human being could do this or support this.
It's hard to believe, but yet it happens. You know, thousands every day. Right here in Texas, right here in Dallas County.
Just down the road, right?
Just down the road. I mean, we're surrounded by abortion mills. We're surrounded by the culture of death. It surrounds us. You know, it surrounds us. As Christians, compelled to preach the gospel, to live the good news, how can we not be out here talking about this?
It would be a failure. It'd be a failure. We'd be failures in our. It's just like in Nazi Germany. The Christians, you know, if we hadn't stood up for the Jews, if we had lived back then, if we didn't stand up for the Jews, we would have been failures as Christians. And now we have to stand up to end this Holocaust. And if we don't, we're going to be judged by God for it.
Well, I think so. You know, and I think that it's too easy to fall into a lackadaisical attitude. It's too easy to live a life of comfort. It's too hard to get out of your comfort zone and come and do this. There's a million things I'd rather be doing today. I don't necessarily want to be here. Neither do any of these other people.
Yeah, I think I can think of some more comfortable places that we could all be. But you know something? But see, here's a distinction with all of us. If we're okay, let's say that I love playing basketball or volleyball. If we were out there, like, you know, playing our favorite sport or eating ice cream, watching TV, would we not be convicted? You know, babies or children are being murdered today, like this little baby girl was. What am I doing to stop it? Like, I know, like for me, for example, if I was playing basketball right now, I'm like, what am I doing to stop this Holocaust? There are children being murdered today, having their heads ripped off, their arms and legs ripped off without any anesthesia whatsoever. Or even if there is anesthesia, it's still evil. What am I doing to stop it? If the answer is nothing, then there's something wrong.
Well, I always like the phrase. I saw a sign once that said, at an abortion clinic, someone was holding a sign that said, this abortion clinic operating with the permission of a local Christian church. You know?
Wow.
This abortion clinic operating with the permission of a local Christian church.
How true is that? Wow.
You know, and it's just designed to make you think about.
How true is that?
It's designed to make you think about what is the response of the Christian community. What are the response of the people of God who are created in the image and likeness of God to give us life, and to let us live a full life so that we can know God ultimately in the end? And what is the response of the people who have been given this great gift, human life, the greatest gift you can get?
Yeah.
But what is our response? Well, our response sucks, because we got like 10 people out here holding these signs,
And the whole city of Dallas.
We've got another 6 or 7 praying up at the abortion clinic.
What's with the abortion signs?
Man, that's ugly, isn't it?
No, it ain't ugly. It's like, I mean, like, what's the point of it? Like,
well, we're just showing people what abortion is.
oh, okay.
Yeah, there's actually an abortion mill about maybe 6-7 miles down the road.
They do 24-week abortions just right down the road.